So tonight's shir is being dedicated by Simcha Menlo, Simcha Shmuel to be exact, in honor of the Yortzeit Avrom Ben Herschel, whose Yortzeit was this week, and Rivka Bas Herschel, a different Herschel. The Yortzeit, her Yortzeit will be this coming Sunday. So may our learning be Le'ilui Nishmasam and Tehei Nishmasam Tzrura B'Tzor HaChaim. So, this week's Parsha is Behaloscha and Shelach, depending on where you are. We'll see maybe how it connects. But the Parsha begins, as we know, with the mitzvah of the menorah, about which Rashi asks, Loma Nismacha, Parshas menorah, the Parshas Hanesiim, which was in the end of Nosai. And Rashi explains why. But in the Parsha, we have Pesach Sheni, and then the Misoinim. How do these things connect? Well, Pashup Pshat is that there's no question of Loma Nismacha, because probably this was the chronological order of events, that they were told about the Pesach Sheni, and afterwards came the Misoinim. But probably if this was the order of events, there's some connection, why one thing brought to the next. And that's what we want to try to explain. In the Misoinim, it says, Vayihi ha'om ki Misoinim, the Goymer, v'ha'asafsuf asher bekirbo hisavu ta'avo vayoshuvu vayivku gam b'nei Yisrael vayomru mi yachilenu basar. So they're complaining about the mon, and they wish that they would have basar. Now we're talking over here about the Dor HaMidbar, which is referred to as the Dor Deya, a door that was zoiche to ro'aso shifcha al hayam mashe loy ro'o Yecheskel ben Buzi, the highest madrega of Nevuah. A door that was zoiche to ato horei solodas, ki Hashem hu ha'elokim, ein oid milvadoi. So it's kind of strange that this door, and such a short time after Matan Torah, after Yetzias Mitzrayim, is complaining about food. Mi yachilenu basar. In Yehoshua, Kapitel Chav Gimel, there's a pasuk, Ki im ba'Hashem Elokeichem tidboku, kasher asisem ad hayoyim hazeh. Yeshua is pleading with Klal Yisrael that ba'Hashem Elokeichem tidboku, they should cleave to the Rebbeinu Shalom as you did until this day. The Ramban in Parshas Re'eh says, Umasha Omer Yehoshua kasher asisem ad hayoyim hazeh, Ki b'hiyoysam b'midbar, va'anan Hashem aleihem, v'hamon yored min hashomayim, v'haslov oile, v'habe'er lefneihem tomid, v'chol ma'aseim b'idei shomayim b'dvorim nisiyim, when they were surrounded by miracles and everything, and their life was totally in the hands of the Rebbeinu Shalom in the most obvious way. Hine machshavtom u'ma'aseim im Hashem tomid. At that time, their thoughts and deeds were with the Rebbeinu Shalom all the time. Therefore, Yeshua is telling them, Shegam ato, now also be ba'oretz, in Eretz Yisrael, b'histalek mehem hamaisim hanifloim oheim. They no longer have the mon, they no longer have the Anani HaKovid. Nevertheless, Tiyeh machshavtom b'hem tomid lidovka b'shem hanichbod v'loi tiporet kavanosam min Hashem. So we're talking about the Torah Midbar, about people that were on the highest level, and Yeshua is begging the Yidden that are entering Eretz Yisrael that they should not lose the madrege of the Dor HaMidbar, in spite of the fact that their life will not be so full of nisim. So how does this fit into the how do we understand the mi yachilenu basar? Mi yachilenu basar. So charnu es hadogo. It seems so out of character. I mean, first of all, it's important to know that, it's not like we think that it's about an epiphany, it's about a peak religious experience. I mean, these same people that were at Maimon Har Sinai, that experienced the Nissim of Yetzias Mitzrayim, obviously had many different setbacks. And that's because, progress is a long process, and growth is gradual, and it takes long-term education to become what we ought to become. But nevertheless, how do we understand this? This episode, this Maisa with the Misoinim is happening 13 months after they left Mitzrayim. So what happened right now? They have been eating mun for quite a while, and it was okay. And just a few psukim earlier, it says, Noisim anachnu el hamakom. And Rashi says, in the name of the Sifri, that they were about to enter Eretz Yisrael in 3 days. So if not for the fact that things got out of hand, they would have entered Eretz Yisrael in 3 days. So they're just about to enter Eretz Yisrael. So all the time that they were eating the mun, they weren't complaining. And now, when they're just about to finish with the mun, they're just about to enter Eretz Yisrael, and they were already told, Noisim anachnu al hamakom, that in 3 days we're entering Eretz Yisrael. Now they start complaining about the mun. It's the chapela. The pasuk says in Yud Aleph Chof, Yan ki ma'astem es Hashem asher bekirbechen, v'tivku lefonov leimor lama ze yotzonu miMitzrayim. So Rashi says, and this is a response to the Messiah. Rashi says, Es Hashem asher bekirbechen, im lo shenotati shchinosi beinechem, lo gova lipchem likones lechol hadvarim alolu. If not for the fact that I was notati shchinosi beinechem, you wouldn't have the gavus halev likones lechol hadvarim halolu. So it would seem that we're not talking about something mundane, something simple, something lowly, when they were asking for mi achilenu basar, but this is something that came as a consequence of a gavus halev, which came from the notati shchinosi beinechem. What does this mean? Rashi on Es HaKishuim says, Amar Rabbi Shimon, mipnei ma hamon mishtane lechol dover chutz me'elu, mipnei shehin koshim lemeinikos. It's not good for nursing mothers. Oimrim leisha al toich lishum ubotzel mipnei hatinoik k'deisa b'sifri. Now the mon was lechem abirim. It wasn't a physical food. It's just that the taste was mishtana lechol dover. So why would it be that the taste would be mazik latinoik? The Gemara talks about this in Yom Daf Ayin Hey. The comparison to an ubar and a tinoik we also find in Moshe Rabbeinu's response, where he says, "Ha'anoichi harisi es ha'am hazeh, im anoichi yeliditihu, ki soymar elai so'ehu b'cheikecha, kasher yisa ha'oimein es ha'yoinek." It sounds like this somehow corresponds with the complaint that the mun is not mishtane to the timing that a kosher latinoik. Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, can I take care of them as a mother takes care of a tinoik? Hanoichi harisi asam hazeh, imanoichi yiliditihu. So what's the connection between the Es HaKishuim, which is kosher latinoik, which the mon didn't have, and Moshe Rabbeinu saying that hanoichi harisi asam hazeh, imanoichi yiliditihu? There's another question over here in the Parsha, because, we don't find in the Hisoinanus any irur on Moshe Rabbeinu's leadership. They're not complaining about Moshe Rabbeinu in this context. When Moshe Rabbeinu said, Loi uchal levadi loseis es ha'om hazeh ki koved hu mimeni, that's because me'ayin li basar, I can't feed them. And that was solved l'chore by the Slav. So why is Moshe Rabbeinu now told, Esfali shivim ish miziknei Yisrael? Rashi says that this is an answer to Moshe Rabbeinu saying, Lo yuchal levadi. But l'chayre the lo yuchal levadi was solved because food is coming down from heaven, and so that issue was resolved. So why does Moshe Rabbeinu now need the Shivim Zakanim? Why does he need a tshuva to the Lo Uchal Levadi? He is Uchal Levadi. You know, it says, Vayisharu Shnei Anoshim B'machane, Shem Ha'echad Eldod, V'Shem Hasheni Meidod, V'Tonach Aleim Haruach. Rashi says, Vayisharu Shnei Anoshim, Me'oison Shenivcheru, they were two of the people that were chosen to be from the Shivim. Amru, Ein anu kedai l'gdulazu. We're not worthy to this gedula. L'chayre, they were misnabim b'machane. So why did they feel that they're not roy l'gdulazu? We don't even find that the others were misnabe. They were misnabe. And nevertheless, they're the ones that say, Ein anu ru'uyim, ein anu kedai l'gdulazu. You know, his avutava, the Alshich brings on his avutava that there are those that say his avutava means that they were misave, that they should have a taiva. They wanted to want. They didn't really have a taiva for food, but they had a taiva to have a taiva, to want food. In the Magid Meishorim, the Beis Yosef quotes his Magid as saying that the Mun brought them to the highest spiritual level where Kabbalas HaTorah was mukhrach, and that's what they had. That's why they were uncomfortable with the Mun. The Chef Schmeitzer brings this in his Akdama. The key to all this is in the Svasemes Tov Reish Lamed Aleph, where he says, Achya Shloimar Diksiv His Avu Tavo. Umashma shaloi hoyo lehem tava. Shahoyo l'mayla me'ateva. Cherus meyetzer hara. V'lachein hoyo nira lehem shenochoin sheyeh lehem taiva. They felt that it would be better that they should have taiva. V'sheyizku lasois nachas ruach la'Hashem yizborech al yedei sheyoichlu b'kedusha af basar gashmi. V'zeu shomru v'nafshenu yevesha. What does it mean our souls are dried out? Because he says, Sheloikimu b'chol nafshechem. That they felt that they can't be mekayim the b'chol nafshechem. K'moishe amru b'medrash b'chol nefesh v'nefesh shebora b'chol. Which means, ein nafshi elo amazeh. Nefesh it has a meaning of rotzen. B'chol nafshecha is that a person should be meshabed all his ritzoynus to the Rebbeinu Shalom. And they felt that nafshenu yevesha, we have no ritzoynus that we could direct towards the Rebbeinu Shalom because our ritzoynus are already in the right place. So that's nafshenu yevesha. We can't do the avodah of b'chol nafshechem. Shu bittul kol ritzoynus v'tayvis l'Hashem yisborach v'zeh lo yhoya lahem shehoyu l'maylo mibchinas hanefesh. That's what the Svasemes says. Now, that's the Hisavu Taiva. So, in terms of the Tachlis of the Avada, they were right, because the Tachlis is V'chol Ma'asecha L'Shem Shamayim, V'chol Drochecha Do'ehu. The Tachlis is Ma'amin B'chayei Ha'olamim V'zoyreya, that we should be engaged in the physical world and Bizoyreya. But mitoich mamin b'chayei ha'olamim, we should have b'chol drochecha and nevertheless do'ehu. But l'chol leis v'l'chol zman ve'eis l'chol chayfetz tachas hashamayim. And the tkufas hamidbar was a tkufa during which we still needed to be in the madrega of a yoinek. Ha'anoichi harisi es ha'omazeh. We weren't yet ready. As it says in Parshas Eikev, Vayancha, Vayarivecha, Vayachilcha esamon, asher lo yodato, v'lo yodu naveisecha, leman hoidiacha, ki lo yal alechem levada, yichi ha'odam, ki al kol moitza pi Hashem, yichi ha'odam. In other words, the goal is that even when we will eventually eat bread, we'll know that it's not the lechem levadoi, it's not the physical bread in itself that gives us the chiyus, but it's the Moitza Pi Hashem, which is Mechaya, the Lechem. That's what is Mechaya, the person. Ki al kol Moitza Pi Hashem Yechi Adam. And that the same one who's Mamtir Lochem, Lechem Min Hashamayim, is the one that's Moitzi Lechem Min Ha'aretz. But first they had to go through a tkufa of eating the mon in order to instill within them the emunah that will last even beyond the tkufa of the midbar. They will take along with them into Eretz Yisrael. So they needed to eat the lechem in Hashemayim, and this was really the tkufa of hiroyon, ha'anochi harisi, the tkufa of hiroyon of Am Yisrael. This was a time when they had to stay away from dvorim hakoshim letinoik, because they were still a tinoik. They were still in a matzav of an ubar, and therefore they shouldn't be having kishuim and shum and botzel. But they dafka wanted the dvorim hakoshim letinoik. They dafka wanted to be adults. They wanted to be doing the avodah of being over the Rebbeinu Shalom mitoich taiva. And that's the Gavus Halev that came al Yidei Shchinosi Shenotati Beinechem. The Shchinosi Shenotati Beinechem brought them to the Gavus Halev of Roitza Adam Bekav Sheloi. A person wants to achieve with his own koiches. A person wants to feel accomplished. A person wants to bring his own from his own to the table, and therefore. They, because of the Gavus Halev, they consider themselves already ra'ui for the avodah of achilas basar l'shem shamay. And that's how we understand also that until now, for the first 13 months, they weren't complaining. And dafka now, the 3 days before the Knesset into Eretz Yisrael, at this point, they already felt ready. They already felt on the madrega, which is the madrega of Eretz Yisrael. The Madrega of Eretz Yisrael is the Madrega of Asafta, the Gonecha, the Siroishecha, the Yitzarecha, the Asik and Gashmius Oilam. And on the verge of the Knesset into Eretz Yisrael, they mistakenly thought that they already are on this Madrega, and therefore they say, Me'ayin li basar. Moshe Rabbeinu says, Me'ayin li basar. In other words, the Anhaga of Moshe Rabbeinu is shaykh to the avodah of the Dor HaMidbar. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't enter Eretz Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu's leadership is shaykh to the Anani HaKoved, the Mon and the Be'er. His leadership is taka the leadership of Yisa ha'oimen hasayonik. Me'ayin li basar. Moshe Rabbeinu is not shaykh to this Seder Hanhoge. And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu says, Loi uchal levadi loseis esa'am hazeh. So it could be that the Shivim Zakanim were really appointed for this transition period between the Dor HaMidbar, Moshe Rabbeinu's Anhaga, and the Dor Boy Haaretz, which is Yeshua's Anhaga. Eldad Umeidad, that felt that they're not royal Gdula Zu. In other words, they felt that they're still shaykh to the Madrega of Yoinik, and they're not capable of leading Klal Yisrael in the avodah of Bechol Drochecha. You know, in the Rosh and the Dazakenim Balei Tosis, they have different mahalchim in who these people were, who were Eldad Umeida. But according to the above, B'derech Remez, you know, El Dad and Mei Dad both have the word Dad, which is what a Yoinik is Yoinik from. And therefore they were shaykh to the tkufa. Them is in the Eitz Chaim. It says in the name of the Aridal, Eldad Umeidad Hem Shnei Adadim De'ima Shemihem Yoitzi Acholov. But it's Kabbalistic. But I'm saying that in this context, it means that they were shaykh to the Anhaga of Yoinek, and therefore they felt that they're not roy to the Gdula of leading Klal Yisrael through this era of transition towards the Knesset into Eretz Yisrael, where they will become V'asafta de Gonecha v'Siroishecha v'Yitzarecha. Einanu Ru'uyim l'Gdula Zu. So the Parshas So we can understand that the parsha begins with a menorah, which was an achama to Aharon for not being mishtatif. He felt bad that he didn't participate in the karbonis of the Nesiim. So here we see that he felt left out, and rightfully so. And he was actually given the Ato Madlik Umeitiv Es Haneros. In the parsha of Pesach Sheni, we again see that they get a positive answer to the Loma Nigora, which means that sometimes somebody is left back and he should strive to reach the madrega that he didn't reach. And he shouldn't settle for being where he is. Aaron HaKohen was Chol Sha'as Daitoi. He didn't just accept where he is. The Tmeim Lenefesh Adam didn't just accept where they were left, and they said Lama Nigara, and they got the Pesach Sheni. So sometimes it's the right thing, and sometimes it's the wrong thing. And for that, a Yid needs to be mispalel, al zois yispalel kol chosed le'es mitzoi. For that, a Yid needs siyata d'shmaya and seichel to know when he's going for something that's beyond his madrega, and it's the wrong thing, like it was with the Misoinim who came immediately after the Pesach Sheni. Right after the Pesach Sheni, Lama Nigora, and they got a positive answer. The Misoinim are doing something that would seem similar. They're complaining that they feel that they are already shaykh to the madrega of Miachilenu Basar, and they don't want to settle for the mon. But here it was wrong. And for that, one needs siyata d'shmaya and guidance sometimes, and seichel to know where it's where he should be going for the gold and where he should be settling for where he is, And the same thing, in other words, so she'ifas can be constructive and they can be destructive, all depending if they're within the right parameters. And so again, we come to Parshas Shelach, because Parshas Shelach, the Arizal says that the Meraglim was shaykh to the Olam HaMachshava, and which is the Madrega of the Dor HaMidbar, and they didn't want to enter Eretz Yisrael, which is the Olam HaMaaseh. In other words, they felt that was a Yerida. It's a Eretz Oicheles Yoishveho. It's the Eretz eats up those that live there. In other words, it brings us down. They wanted to remain in the Madrega of the Dor HaMidbar with the Anani HaKoved and the Mon and the Be'er. So this is really a response to the negative answer that the Misoinim got. The Misoinim got the negative answer. So then the Meraglim Taka want to stay in the Midbar, just like the Misoinim were told that the time hasn't come yet, but now the time has come. So it's all about timing. In other words, lachol eis, lachol zman, the eis lachol chayfetz tachas hashamayim. The Rebbeinu Shalom should help that we should find our way and we should know our place and our time. Yeah, the ein lecha adam she'ein lo shah, and the question is, what is the shah? Okay, Rabbi Say, having said that, I wish you all a guten Shabbos, Parshas Behaloscha or Parshas Shelach, but Shabbos is Shabbos.